Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I tried to have a higher speech when I am a little bit taller. Can you see me there? I'm sorry for that. Okay, so I'm working at the Caisse des Dépôts. It's a public investment bank in France. It's a founding member of the long-term investment club with the European Investment Bank, and we are sharing the same strategic vision for long-term investment and wealth creation, which is more important than extraction of added value at a fast moment. So I'm also working as a vice president of REDA, which is the Federation of mechanicals and thermal engineering in Europe. And I'm also working as the president of Sustainable Building Alliance, which is an alliance for certification scheme in the world, in charge of certification of buildings. So, I will come back a little bit because as we discussed about efficiency of investment, and Paul Hodson mentioned this morning about how we can decide if we invest in retrofit, if we destroy a building, or do we invest in renewables. So the idea I have behind that is to work on the full picture about energy efficiency, because we can, of course, focus on heating and cooling. That's one part of the problem. For instance, in the new regulation in France, the nearly zero energy buildings are around 40 to 60 kilowatts per primary energy per square meter per year. But you see clearly that if I look at the needs in terms of electricity in an office building with server and data rooms, it's 10 times this consumption. So if I do a lot of investment in the heating and cooling, and I'm not looking at all what which systems are installed, I will lose my target. Because as it was shown in the slides of Paul Hodson, we have an increase in terms of electrical demand in Europe and all countries in Europe. So we have to fight against that. And I think if we want to do so, one of our business here is really to look at the global picture and invest where it's more efficient. Of course, there is no competition between things, and I want to be very clear about that. It's in terms of at what time you invest the money. Doesn't mean that you have to focus forever on one stuff. It means that at one time it must be more efficient, it may be more efficient to invest in insulation, and one time in production, and one time to decrease the electrical demand. We also think about the embodied energy, because I just put some numbers here, but just for fun, a high-rise building, which is something around 100 meters, have the embodied energy about 5,000 kilowatt per square meter. So think about that when you try to invest millions of euros to decrease of 10% the heating needs, which is nothing compared to this 5,000 kilowatt per square meter. The other thing is transportation, because we really believe that there is a huge thing to do between the location of a building and the work, wherever people work and live, because it has a huge impact, as you can see here on the numbers that I will not comment because you know it anyway. So the idea we have at the United Nations group, and the idea we have also for investors, is to have a look on flows and invest to reduce the flows when it's possible with the most impact we can, as it is between the people, the infrastructure, because we also invest in infrastructure and demand. So which kind of infrastructure we want, what kind of distribution, decentralized, we can implement and invest in, and the flows of people, flows of goods. Well, it's complex, but it's fascinating, and it's really important when you invest somewhere to also have the vision of a global impact. So just for fun, it's a real estate investment here. So you see 2 electrical boats with PV cells on the roof, just for transportation, because it's more efficient in terms of investment to transport that way the people from the shopping center, which is built now on the front, and the offices, to the metro station, than to invest more on the efficiency of buildings. So I just put this picture because I know we speak about efficiency in buildings, just to speak that sometimes it's also efficient to invest in electrical boats. Well, this is something I got from the International Energy Agency. As it was said about our previous colleagues about the fuel poverty and the burden of the expenditure of energy consumption, we clearly see that it's something we have to take care. So I will use that to say, well, how we can put an investment on that, taking into account also that people want to achieve a better comfort of their house. I will just use that to explain that in Berlin I saw a development of retrofit in social housing, 15,000 flats, and people didn't want to have a retrofit, even if they pay a big amount of service charges for fuel. They decided to accept it at the moment that the owner decided to retrofit at the same time the kitchen and the bathroom. At that time, everybody accepted to have workers inside their house to retrofit the facade and the insulation. So we also have to think about the marketing of the offer. And really I want to insist on that. The energy retrofit is not a product by itself. It's a product that we have to market for customers. And it's also something that is really a real estate product that we have to think and embedded into a real estate product. This is another example I want to show about the dynamic of the vision. This is from the Finnish Green Building Council. This is what they would like to implement for their certification of and labeling of buildings. You see there that they are trying to have a dynamic vision on 50 years. So it means that the first two rows are based, I will use the pointer here. Here is the design of a building, with the embodied energy and CO2, the waste, the work, the transport, and you have then the real impact. And then every year you can measure what is the impact in terms of used energy for heating and cooling, lighting, what is the energy used for all the systems installed in, and some also you can have the renewable energy which is plugged to the building. So you have a global information here, what is measured, what is the impact of travel, you can also have waste and something, and what is the climate class of a building. Because thanks to the North European normalization, we can all today use this climate class which give the quality of the indoor environment, not only on the air, but noise and everything that was explained by Professor Atonen. So you see, it's very interesting because here we move from a system which is static, which gives you a vision at a certain time, which is based on theoretical calculation, to something which is fully transparent, which gives you the information and the information to every owner, to every user, what was the theoretical calculation and what is every year the impact of a building. I think this is the next generation of certification systems which will be based on performance and transparency, because we need to manage the uncertainty. We need to be clear that there is, like in every calculation, an uncertainty. We need to manage it and to be transparent and to show that it works like that. So if I move from the energy scale to the portfolio management, this is the kind of system I try to put in a drawing, the system we are using to manage the portfolio. So if we start from the components, we do have quality information, then we have a constraint, it gives us the performance and the running cost, and then we have the time of analysis. And in order to invest, before we invest in retrofit, we do an analysis on long term, because it has no sense to invest in a building that is not adapted to the use. For instance, in universities, we discovered that some buildings are used 5 or 10% of the time. So we shut down the building and we didn't retrofit it. That's a better investment. That's one thing we have to keep in mind, that the efficiency of investment is there. We have to always keep a global picture about that, and keep in mind that we need to first have buildings that are dedicated to users, not to dedicated to energy efficiency. Of course, don't misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm 150% supporting energy efficiency, but it has to be a green impact for people who are living in buildings. And one very important thing, you see there that the information system will be one of the main key that to unlock the transparency and the sharing of information between different stakeholders. Because if we don't have an information system that gives you what was theoretical calculation, which kind of information you can have, and that doesn't explain to the final customer what kind of performance he can await and he can expect from an installation, this will never work, and we already know that some installation didn't achieve what we expect. And because of that, I spoke also with colleagues in banks. They explained to me, well, it's very risky to invest in energy efficiency because you technical guys, you never achieve what you said. That's true, because we never told you that there is uncertainty in what we said. And we need to say no. When we say 50 kilowatt per square meter per year, it's plus minus something. And it depends how it's calculated. I know it's quite stupid what I'm saying there, but when I spoke with bankers, they really believe that we know what we do, and when we say a number, it's a real number with 100% security. I'm sorry, it's not very true, but sometimes it's technical. We have to put uncertainty, and this is what you see there. This is the uncertainty that they have implemented in their system. So out of a market response. So it's extract from a French survey that we are conducting every year with Novetic, which is one of our subsidiary. How the people are reacting to the portfolio management. And you see that I will not comment all the numbers, but clearly a lot of portfolio managers, big REITs, are starting to implement this strategy in their portfolio management. And it's quite obvious that we just miss now a mandatory system that will give a value to non-quality, something like in UK, to say that in 2015 you can't rent a building which is a class E or F. This gives value to quality. Please, we don't need regulation to explain us how to do the business. I think in banks or investors, or it is what explained, people are in capacity to do the business, but the problem is that we need to have a clear sign from the regulation what is non-quality and where is performance, in order to really keep the path. Because as for now in France, for instance, we see that a lot of people are not moving because the regulation is not saying clearly at what time the certain kind of building will be out of the market. So people are waiting that the regulation will give a price. So again, it's about data collection and data collection during the whole system. I really insist on that because this is also how the real estate can make its revolution, including energy efficiency retrofit, but also dedicated to customers, and how we can give information to each homeowners and to each occupant in the building. And clearly this is how we can also integrate the digital revolution into the real estate industry. Because I'm sorry to also to say that, but we are very far from the transparency in our business in terms of information we give, which is linked to a building. Do you get some information? I think you get not 1% of information you have when you buy a car. And I think the investment in a house is much more higher than in a car, and you keep it a longer time. So I really think that which also in sustainability, we have to move to a clear information system that will give information to the customers, and information sometimes that we even don't know that they could use it. For instance, I spoke with colleagues on the 3D modeling of flats. They use it, you know, for what? You know, they use it to give it to the kitchen makers in order to avoid to take measurement by themselves. They could very easily have a kitchen made on their home. So this is some studies we made in our systems, and I want to insist on that thing, but you see clearly that if we do retrofit, we have three indicators: the cost per square meter, which is added on the normal retrofit that we have to do anyway, the efficiency, and this is very important. You see, for us, this is the main important indicator: how much cost a kilowatt per year saved. Because in some case, we don't do it. You see, for instance, here, we decided to postpone this part because we don't want to do it. It's too expensive. The other part which is important is that if we invest 4% in our portfolio, then we can clearly save and maintain the value of buildings. And we know by our calculation that here you see clearly that by this survey, the impact of energy efficiency can be something around 10% of that value in the building. So if we invest 4%, we can get 10% value on it. So it's clearly a good investment. And that's why our CEO decided to give us 60 million to invest in real estate. He didn't even ask us what are the energy savings, what are the payback of energy saving. He said, oh, good, you will maintain the value of the portfolio. This is a good idea. And this is something which is clearly linked with the obsolescence and the protection of the asset you have in terms of obsolescence. And this is something also we did on a retrofit system to see, does it have a payback to invest a lot in retrofit? And you see there that if we do by the regulatory, what is mandatory, we invest 13 million and we have a value at the end of 89 millions. But if we invest 5 millions more, which is really to put the building on the top of the retrofit, almost around 50 kilowatt per square meter per year in primary energy. It's a retrofit on building which was built in the 30s in the center of Paris. So it's very efficient. So we achieve plus 10 millions. So with 5 millions of cash, I make 10 millions of value. So my problem now is, how do I get the cash? So I have to prove to my bank and to my loan, to the investors that it's good to give me 5 millions cash. So everything is about translation. So we need to translate the technical quality into financial models in order to really answer to the market drivers and to really have the capacity to solve the problem of risk assessment of our colleagues in banks. This is linked, of course, to the long-term investment club. This is linked to the property working group, the two main work we have to give with the property working group. And this is a kind of thinking about the flow to develop. It's development on efficiency checking. We need to have product and industrial products that we have a clear guarantee of performance. So we need to have a chain of trust from the industry to the installers, to the end customer, that it works, that it's guaranteed. And if we do so, the customer will be in capacity to buy this market product with a system, and not only to be alone in the market in order to choose products that he doesn't know or does it fit to his problem or not. So this is, I think, how we can improve, and I really will stay on the word that we have to build a chain of trust as it is from finance to project in order to analyze the risk, to have a risk assessment, to give it to the financial people in order to not ask them to do technical assessment. And if we do so, and if we do this work back and forward, I'm sure that we will have interest loan very low, because we know from survey that it's as a real estate investment, it has a very low problem of payback in the loans. So we will have low interest rate, we will have product that people will desire, that they will want to buy, and we will have a better real estate in Europe. And I will just finish with that. Don't forget that 50% of the wealth in Europe is based on the asset and the real estate that the people and the public owned. So if we want to defend the value of what we own in Europe, we have to retrofit and to manage the quality of our real estate. Thank you very much.